If you're thinking about moving to Charlotte, we're going to save you a ton of money and years of headaches. See, we dug into the 14 of the best suburbs around here. Schools, prices, amenities, the whole deal. And here's what we found. 5 subdivisions absolutely crush it in quality of life. These are places where you and your family will thrive, your home value will grow, and you'll fall in love with the community around you. On the other hand, there are areas that you may want to avoid depending on your lifestyle preferences. But here's the surprising part. Now remember, this is the top 14, but 4 of these suburbs that tons of people actually consider rank at the bottom: Kannapolis, Rock Hill, Belmont, and Mount Holly. Now, before you cross these off your list completely, there's some interesting stuff about affordability that might change your mind, especially if money's tight. We're going to walk you through each of these communities today, starting with the absolute best and working our way down. By the end, you'll know exactly which suburb fits you and your family, your budget, and your lifestyle. So let's jump in. Let's start with what I'm calling the championship tier. If you want the absolute best for your family, these 2 need to be at the top of your list. Weddington takes the crown. The numbers are just incredible. Median household income sits at almost $200,000. The poverty rate is below 4%. We're talking about a community packed with successful professionals and entrepreneurs. But money doesn't automatically make a great family suburb. What makes Weddington special is how they turn all that prosperity in an incredible quality of life. The schools get an A- rating. That puts them in with the best in the entire Charlotte region, and get this, almost 6% of people here own homes. That creates a stable, invested vibe that's perfect for raising kids. The median home value sits at $730,000, and yeah, that's pricey, but you're getting world-class everything. That's what we love about Weddington. One of the other perks about Weddington is downtown Waxhaw. Charming boutiques, award-winning schools, tons of parks. This isn't some cookie-cutter development. It's got character and history that you can connect with your family. Moving to our number 2 pick, Matthews comes in strong with features that make it incredibly appealing. The median income is about $105,000, making it way more accessible than Weddington, but you're still getting that upscale, family-focused environment, the same A- school rating, and check this out, 95% graduation rate. That tells you everything you need to know about the educational culture here. The poverty rate is just 4%, creating stable environment that families crave. The median home value in Matthews is $406,000, which gives you better entry points than Weddington while still delivering exceptional schools and that peaceful upscale vibe. Matthews nails that sweet spot between luxury and accessibility. But here's something interesting that we're going to explore later when we dive into Lake Norman. While Matthews crushes it with schools and amenities, some families crave the water access and recreational life that those communities offer, despite different price points. Now let's talk about Union County, which flows into our next tier of excellence. This area produces some of the best family communities in the entire Charlotte region. Waxhaw and Marvin represent the absolute best of what the county has to offer. Waxhaw captures everything families love about historic charm, while giving you access to top-tier everything. The schools get a perfect A rating, top of the regional rankings. Median household is about $128,000, which creates an affordable middle to upper class vibe. The poverty rate is just 4.3%, showing incredible community stability. What sets Waxhaw apart is this historic downtown that's like something out of a Hallmark movie. You can walk to restaurants, shops, and all sorts of community events. The whole small town thing with modern amenities is what's at play here. It's growing fast, which tells you the word is getting out, but it hasn't lost the character that drew people here originally. The median home value is $506,000, keeping it reasonable while delivering top-rated schools and that highly rated quality of life. And speaking of Union County excellence, Marvin takes the crown with some of its most impressive stats in our entire analysis. Median household is $250,000. That's elite territory. But here's the thing, that prosperity creates opportunities for everyone in the community. Perfect A-rated schools. The poverty rate is 6.6%, which shows that the community maintains some economic diversity while keeping median incomes high. The median home value is $860,000, which puts Marvin in premium territory. But when you look at the quality of schools, the historic village charm, you're getting exceptional value. Your investment here is protected, and your kids get every opportunity to succeed in an environment that balances prosperity with community character. Transitioning across state lines, let me tell you about Fort Mill, South Carolina. This community is becoming impossible to ignore for Charlotte families. The numbers tell this incredible story of smart development and rapid growth that's increasing real opportunities. The median income is $127,000, and that puts Fort Mill right in this sweet spot for professional families. The poverty rate is 3.7%, which shows excellent community stability. The schools get a B+ rating, representing solid, reliable education for your kids. But here's the remarkable thing about Fort Mill. It's had a 48% population increase since 2020. That's not random growth. That is families discovering a community that delivers exceptional value. The median home value in Fort Mill is $457,000, which gets you better affordability than North Carolina options while delivering a high quality of school and awesome community amenities. What impresses me about Fort Mill is the planning. New parks, greenways, family amenities being developed to keep up with the population growth. This isn't development overwhelming infrastructure. It's thoughtful growth around building a better community. For families looking to maximize their housing budget while getting rapidly growing amenities, top-notch schools, and tons of perks, Fort Mill represents compelling value. And this growth story sets up an interesting contrast with our next community, where you'll see how some areas struggle to balance development while maintaining quality infrastructure and community resources. We need to talk about Kannapolis honestly, and this is where our analysis reveals some pretty interesting patterns that families need to understand. While it's solidly in our top 14 suburbs, and it's one of those that could be on the real rise over the next decade, it contrasts with Fort Mill's success story, and it becomes pretty clear when you look at the numbers. Median household in Kannapolis is $70,691, which puts it in the more affordable category. It seems appealing if you're trying to stretch your budget, and the revitalization downtown shows real investment in community pride. There's signs of improvements all throughout the area, but here's the thing that gets concerning. Schools only get a C+ rating, and that falls way behind a lot of our other communities that we've talked about so far. When you're making a long-term investment in your family's future, school quality becomes non-negotiable if you want your kids to thrive academically. The poverty rate of 12.2% is the highest that we've seen in this group, which often correlates with community challenges that can affect family life. If you're willing to be a part of the community's improvement story, Kannapolis might represent value. But when you compare it to Fort Mills with its better schools and more amenities for manageable price increases, most families find that investing in higher quality communities outweigh those short-term savings. This brings us to a completely different category of communities that takes a different approach to family life, the Lake Norman area. Let's explore Lake Norman, where we shift gears completely. These three communities give you something unique in the Charlotte suburbs: exceptional family amenities combined with a genuine recreational lifestyle opportunities that set them apart from everything else we've discussed so far. Davidson leads this group and honestly competes with anyone for the most charming suburb community in the region. Median household is about $152,000, and that creates this comfortable professional atmosphere. Schools get an A- among the region's very best, and the poverty rate is around 7%, maintaining that stable community vibe that families want. What makes Davidson special is that it's a college town vibe combined with lake access and a vibrant downtown. The median home value of $626,000 definitely puts it in the premium territory, but if you're getting this rare combination of excellent schools, charm, recreational access that's hard to find anywhere else, you can see why it's at the top of the list. Building on that Lake Norman lifestyle, Cornelius gives you a very different approach that many families find more appealing. Median income is $114,000, making it more accessible than Davidson while maintaining excellent amenities in that A- school rating. With a poverty rate of 4.4%, it shows solid community stability. What I love about Cornelius is how the community developed around Lake Norman without losing that suburban feel. You get lake recreation, excellent schools, and a family-friendly infrastructure. The median home value is around $514,000, which gives good value for families wanting the Lake Norman lifestyle without Davidson's premium pricing. And completing the Lake Norman trio, Huntersville rounds out these communities with impressive family-focused stats that make it incredibly popular. Median household of $120,000 creates comfortable middle to upper class environment. Schools maintain that A- rating for Lake Norman that communities are known for, and with a poverty rate of 3.4%, it's among the lowest that we've analyzed. Median home value hovers around $440,000, giving you great entry points for Lake Norman living, while still delivering lake access, strong schools, and the vibrant community known for outdoor families. But here's something important we'll explore next. While these Lake Norman communities excel with family amenities and recreational opportunities, some larger cities in the Charlotte area take a completely different approach, though they struggle to maintain the same level of quality and community focus. Rock Hill shows you the challenges that larger cities face when competing with smaller suburban communities for family appeal. This creates an interesting contrast with the tight-knit Lake Norman communities that we just discussed. While Rock Hill gives you diverse amenities that some families find attractive, the stat reveals why it falls short with most families with kids. With a median household income of $65,000, it's one of the lowest in our entire analysis. And a poverty rate of 13.3% being the highest that we've analyzed, this creates socioeconomic challenges that often impact community resources and school funding. The schools only get a C rating, and that puts Rock Hill behind all the Lake Norman communities and most of the other suburbs that we've discussed. With a median home value of $267,000, it does create affordability when compared to premium communities. The larger city amenities can be appealing if you want more dining and shopping and entertainment options, but you're making significant trade-offs in education quality and community stability. Rock Hill might work if you're prioritizing urban amenities over suburban family life, but it's not consistently top ranked for schools and family life compared to other options. This challenge of balancing affordability with quality leads us to some communities that are actively working to find that sweet spot. Indian Trail represents something different in the Charlotte suburban landscape, and it shows how communities can successfully manage growth, unlike what we saw in Rock Hill. Depending on your family's priorities, it might be exactly what you're looking for. This community is experiencing rapid growth, and that's creating new opportunities for smart families. Median household income of $99,000 puts Indian Trail in the accessible range for many professional families. With a poverty rate of 6.7%, it maintains reasonable community stability. Schools get a B+ rating, which represents solid educational opportunities that'll serve your kids well. What's compelling about Indian Trail is how the rapid growth is creating new amenities and infrastructure improvements throughout the community. With a median home value of $343,000, it gives you genuine affordability when compared to most of Charlotte's options. Indian Trail delivers something families crave: the opportunity to be a part of a community's story of growth, while getting good schools and tons of parks and community events. The new development here isn't overwhelming infrastructure. It's creating better amenities and more robust community resources for everyone. For families looking to maximize their housing budget while still getting suburban quality and education, Indian Trail represents a compelling value. You're not sacrificing core family needs. You're choosing growth potential and affordability over established prestige. Following this theme of communities building on their reputations, let's look at Mount Holly. Mount Holly's been working hard to build a reputation as a family-friendly community, which connects nicely to Indian Trail's growth story here. There are definite reasons that families should pay attention to what's happening here. The community shows genuine effort to create family-oriented amenities and improve qualities of life. The median household income is $75,928, making Mount Holly accessible for many families. The poverty rate is 8.2%, which is reasonable for growing communities, and good parks and strong community identity create that small town feel that many families find appealing. The challenges become apparent when you look at schools. They get only a C rating here, and that puts Mount Holly behind most of the other communities that we've analyzed in terms of educational quality. And with a median home value of $286,000, it does create affordability opportunities. Mount Holly has a growing reputation for families who want that community connection. But when you compare it to Indian Trail, better schools and similar affordability, or Fort Mill, which delivers a better overall value, most families find it more compelling options elsewhere. Mount Holly works for families who prioritize affordability and are willing to supplement education quality through private options or additional support at home, but it's slightly lower in school rankings compared to a lot of the other communities, which give a better overall value. That brings us to another community that built its reputation on being welcoming to new families. Mint Hill gives you an interesting option if you prioritize community atmosphere and affordability, and it shares some similarities with Mount Holly's approach to family life. This community's built a reputation for being genuinely welcoming and family-focused. The median household income is almost $100,000, and that puts Mint Hill right in line with communities like Indian Trail. The poverty rate is 8.7%, which shows economic diversity while maintaining that middle-class stability. The welcoming community atmosphere is genuine, and it creates connections that families value highly. Schools get a B rating, better than Mount Holly, and Kannapolis, but still behind top-tier communities that we've analyzed. The median home value is $343,000, giving accessibility for families looking for housing options that won't break their budget. What Mint Hill delivers is that small-town community feel within the Charlotte metro area. Good schools and a reputation for making new families feel welcome immediately. And for families who prioritize community connection and affordability over top schools and amenities, Mint Hill can work well, though it's not as highly ranked as some of the other options we've discussed. Now let's wrap up our tour with one final community that offers yet another approach to Charlotte suburban living. Finally, let's address Belmont, which rounds out our analysis with a different value approach than communities like Mint Hill. While this community has some appealing aspects, it falls short in some key areas that matter most to families making long-term decisions. The median household income is $86,000, which makes Belmont more affordable than many options. And the proximity to Charlotte gives definite benefits for commuting and access to city amenities. With a poverty rate of 10.1%, it shows some economic challenges, but it's not unprecedented for developing communities. Schools here get a B rating. Better than some communities, but not as competitive with the best in family options. Median home value is $131,000, and that creates genuine affordability that some families find attractive. Belmont's biggest advantage is being close to Charlotte, Lake Wylie, the Catawba River, and Mountain Island Lake while maintaining more affordable housing costs. The community is improving and showing investment in better amenities. But when you compare Belmont to other communities, it's harder to find the value. Better schools and manageable price premiums have most families looking at other areas like Indian Trail and Fort Mill. For families willing to make trade-offs in school quality to gain affordability and Charlotte proximity, Belmont might work. But it's not as highly ranked among families as other communities that give better overall value in terms of long-term family success. So where does this leave you when you're evaluating options for your family? Well, let me break this down in key decision frameworks that'll guide you to the right community based on everything we've covered. If budget isn't your main constraint, you want the absolute best in schools and community amenities, Weddington and Matthews represent the gold standard. These communities give you everything a family could want: exceptional schools, outstanding amenities, and community features that could justify premium pricing. Other Union County options of Waxhaw and Marvin deliver top-tier quality, the historic charm of downtown, and that small-town feel that families find irresistible. You're getting perfect school ratings and exceptional community character while maintaining reasonable home prices relative to the quality you receive. And for families wanting excellent school quality with better affordability, the Lake Norman communities of Davidson, Cornelius, and Huntersville give you outstanding value. You're getting most of the benefits in premium communities, but at more affordable prices, plus recreational lifestyle benefits that you won't find in traditional suburban developments. Fort Mill stands out in terms of families prioritizing growth potential and housing budget efficiency. You're getting solid gold schools, good community planning, and an area investing in its future without paying premium pricing for the established prestige. And Indian Trail works perfectly for families who want to be part of a growth story while maintaining suburban amenities and a good educational quality at accessible pricing. And communities like Kannapolis, Rock Hill, Belmont, and Mount Holly give you affordability, but the long-term benefits of investing in communities with strong schools and stable economics typically outweigh short-term savings. Your family's future is too important to make decisions based solely on initial affordability. Choose a community where your children can thrive in excellent schools, your investment will grow, and you'll feel proud to call home for years to come. If this analysis has helped you narrow down your options, I'd love to take the next step. Email me at info@jwhitegroup.com and we'll get started with a personalized consultation about your specific needs and budget. We'll help you identify properties in your target communities and navigate the entire home buying process from start to finish. But before you reach out, make sure you watch my next video about the hidden costs of buying in the Charlotte suburbs. I'll show you property taxes, HOA fees, maintenance costs that can add thousands to your annual housing budget. Some of these costs might surprise you and can completely change which communities make the most financial sense for you and your family. That video goes live next week, so make sure you're subscribed and have the notifications turned on so that you don't miss it.